1. How old was Avraham Abraham when he had his Brit Milah, circumcision? A. 8 days. B. 75. C. 100. D. 99. The correct answer is D. 99. 2. What reason did Avraham Abraham give for turning down the king of Sodom's offer of booty? A. The people of Sodom should have their possessions back and it would not be fair if he took them. B. He did not want the possessions because they had been used for idol worship. C. God had commanded him not to take them. D. He did not want the king to think that he had made Avraham Abraham rich. The correct answer is D. He did not want the king to think that he had made Avraham Abraham rich. 3. Where did Avraham Abraham go after Lot moved to Sodom? A. Jerusalem. B. Sodom. C. Beersheba. D. Eloni Mamre, plains of Mamre, which are in Chevron, Hebron. The correct answer is D. Eloni Mamre, plains of Mamre, which are in Chevron, Hebron. 4. Who was Hagar? A. The Fienk. B. The maidservant of the matriarch Sarah. C. The wet nurse of the matriarchs Rachel and Leah. D. The wife of Boaz. The correct answer is B. The maidservant of the matriarch Sarah. 5. How many soldiers did Avraham Abraham take with him to fight against the 4 kings? A. 12. B. 1,000. C. 318. D. 400. The correct answer is C. 318. 6. What was the name of Abraham's second wife? A. Hagar. B. Keturah. C. Sarah. D. Rebecca. The correct answer is A. Hagar. 7. What did God promise Abraham, when he first arrived in Canaan? A. That his descendants would be as numerous as the stars. B. That his descendants would be strangers in a foreign country. C. That his descendants would inherit the land. D. That he would have a son named Yitzhak, Isaac. The correct answer is C. That his descendants would inherit the land. 8. How did Abraham, find out that Lot had been captured in the War of the 5 versus 4 kings? A. Malkit Zadek came and told him. B. One of his allies came and told him. C. He was in the battle and he saw Lot get captured. D. The kings sent him a messenger. The correct answer is B. One of his allies came and told him. 9. After Abraham, complained that his servant would inherit him, what did God tell him? A. Your servant will not inherit you, but your very own son will inherit you. B. Remember my promise to your father, and you will be comforted. C. How can you complain to the one that created the universe? God will see to it. D. Your complaint will be heeded, and your name will not die out. The correct answer is A. Your servant will not inherit you, but your very own son will inherit you. 10. What was Abraham's, reaction when God promised him that Sarah would have a son? A. He ran to tell Sarah. B. He laughed. C. He offered sacrifices. D. He prayed. The correct answer is B. He laughed. 11. What did God promise Abraham, when he changed Sarai's name to Sarah? A. That Sarah would bear him a son even though she was 90 years old. B. That Sarah would be blessed with 12 tribes. C. That Sarah would give birth to twins. D. That Sarah would make sure that their son Jacob, and not Esau, would get the blessings. The correct answer is A, that Sarah would bear him a son even though she was 90 years old. 12. What did God promise Avraham, Abraham, after Avraham departed from Lot? A. That he would return to Ur-Kasdim. B. That his descendants would inherit the land. C. That he would see Joseph, again in his lifetime. D. That the 12 tribes would be named after him. The correct answer is B, that his descendants would inherit the land. 13. In the Brit and Hebitorium, covenant between the parts, what area of land did God promise Avraham, Abraham? A. From the Jordan River to the Mediterranean Sea. B. All the land that he would walk on. C. From the river in Mitzrayim, Egypt, to the Great River. D. All the land that belongs to the Canaanites. The correct answer is C. From the river in Mitzrayim, Egypt, to the Great River. 14. Which matriarch complained to her husband that she was not being treated with respect? A. Sheba to Shlomo, Solomon. B. Leah to Yaakov, Jacob. C. Rivka, Rebekah, to Yitzhak, Isaac. D. Sarah to Avraham, Abraham. The correct answer is D. Sarah to Avraham, Abraham. 15. What did the king of Sodom offer to Avraham, Abraham? A. All the spoils of the war. B. A shoelace. C. Water for his camels. D. Food. The correct answer is A. All the spoils of the war. 16. Where did Avraham, Abraham, first go upon his return from Mitzrayim, Egypt, to the land of Canaan? A. To the place that he had formerly pitched his tent, between Beit El and Ai. B. To Sodom. C. To the valley of the Jordan River. D. To Chevron, Hebron. The correct answer is A. To the place that he had formerly pitched his tent, between Beit El and Ai. 17. Why did Hagar act disrespectfully towards her mistress? A. Because Hagar gave birth to the twins Yaakov, Jacob, and Esau. B. Because Hagar conceived, while her mistress Sarah failed to bear children after many years of marriage. C. Because Hagar's mistress was a bad person. D. Because Hagar was from the tribe of Amalek. The correct answer is B. Because Hagar conceived, while her mistress Sarah failed to bear children after many years of marriage. 18. Where did Lot move after he and Avraham, Abraham, decided they could not live close to one another? A. Ur-Kasdim. B. Sodom. C. Mitzrayim, Egypt. D. Chevron, Hebron. The correct answer is B. Sodom. 19. Why did the angel tell Hagar to call her son Ishmael? A. Because God listened to Abraham's prayer for a son. B. Because God heard her suffering. C. Because God would hear Ishmael's prayers in the future. D. Because God heard her prayers. The correct answer is B. Because God heard her suffering. 20. How old was Abraham, when his first son, Ishmael, was born? A. 86. B. 40. C. 75. D. 100. The correct answer is A. 86. 21. In the Brit and Hebitorium, covenant between the parts, which animals did Abraham, not cut up? A. The cows. B. The goats. C. The birds. D. The cats. The correct answer is C. The birds. 22. Whom did Hagar meet after she ran away from her mistress? A. Lot. B. Sarah. C. Yishamel, Ishmael. D. An angel. The correct answer is D. An angel. 23. How would someone be punished if he would not perform Brit Milah, circumcision? A. He would be stoned to death. B. His soul would be cut off from the Jewish people. C. He and his descendants would be forbidden from marrying a Jew for 3 generations. D. He would have to pay a fine to the children of Aaron. The correct answer is B. His soul would be cut off from the Jewish people. 24. Who was Malkit Zadek? A. King of Shalem and a priest of God. B. Abraham's teacher. C. King of Sodom. D. An angel. The correct answer is A. King of Shalem and a priest of God. 25. Why did Abraham, enter the war against the 4 kings? A. To defend himself. B. To regain the wells which were taken from him by the 4 kings. C. To honor a mutual defense treaty with the king of Sodom. D. To rescue his nephew Lot from captivity. The correct answer is D. To rescue his nephew Lot from captivity. 26. Which place did Abraham, leave to come to Canaan? A. Bovel, Babylonia. B. Paddan Aram. C. Kasdim. D. Charan, Haran. The correct answer is D. Charan, Haran. 27. What was the result of the war between Abraham, and the 4 kings? A. Avraham took back the people who had been captured but not their possessions. B. No one won, but they signed an agreement to give back the people who had been captured. C. Avraham won and freed all the people who had been captured and all their possessions. D. Avraham lost to the 4 kings. The correct answer is C. Avraham won and freed all the people who had been captured and all their possessions. 28. What happened to Pharaoh after he took Sarah from Abraham, when Avraham and Sarah moved to Egypt? A. He divorced Sarah after a brief marriage. B. He died. C. He and all his servants died. D. God afflicted his house with plagues. The correct answer is D. God afflicted his house with plagues. 29. What did God command Abraham, to do to himself and his sons? A. To go down to Mitzrayim, Egypt. B. To change all of their names. C. To travel round the whole of the land of Canaan. D. To perform Brit Milah, circumcision. The correct answer is D. To perform Brit Milah, circumcision. 30. What was the name of the well at which Hagar prayed? A. Esek. B. Beersheba, Beersheba. C. Rechavat, Rehoboth. D. Beer Lakai Roy. The correct answer is D. Beer Lakai Roy. 31. What did God promise Abraham, when he commanded him to perform Brit Milah, circumcision? A. That his descendants would be as many as the stars. B. That Ishmael, would inherit him. C. That he would inherit the land of Canaan. D. That Sarah would have a son. The correct answer is D. That Sarah would have a son. 32. What prophecy did the angel tell Hagar about Ishmael, when she was in the desert? A. That he would be successful in agriculture. B. That his offspring would be as many as the sand. C. That he would live by the sword. D. That he would be a wild man. The correct answer is D. That he would be a wild man. 33. What did Abraham, give to Melchizedek? A. A tenth of all the spoils from the battle. B. bread and water. C. A shoelace. D. Animals for offerings. The correct answer is A. A tenth of all the spoils from the battle. 34. In the Battle of the Kings, how many kings rebelled against Kedorlaomer? A. 7. B. 4. C. 3. D. 5. The correct answer is D. 5. 35. Where did God command Avraham, Abraham, to go when he commanded him to leave his father's house? A. To the land which he would show him. B. To Mitzrayim, Egypt. C. To Charan, Haran. D. To Canaan. The correct answer is A. To the land which he would show him. 36. Who came out to meet Avraham, Abraham, after he came back from the war? A. The king of Sodom and Zadek the king of Shalem. B. Zadek. C. The king of Sodom. D. Sarah. The correct answer is A. The king of Sodom and Zadek the king of Shalem. 37. To where did Avraham, Abraham, first arrive when he entered Canaan? A. To Shechem, Nablus. B. To Jerusalem, Jerusalem. C. To Chevron, Hebron. D. To Beit El. The correct answer is A. To Shechem, Nablus. 38. How many years after they arrived in Canaan did Hagar marry Avraham, Abraham? A. 7. B. 5. C. 15. D. 10. The correct answer is D. 10. 39. What did Avraham, Abraham, do to the birds of prey in the Brit in Hebitorium, covenant between the parts? A. He offered them as sacrifices. B. He cut them in half and laid them in a row with the other animals. C. He caught them to use for hunting. D. He chased them away. The correct answer is D. He chased them away. 40. In the Battle of the Kings, how many kings joined Kedorlaomer's side? A. 7. B. 5. C. 4. D. 3. The correct answer is D. 3. 41. Who were Avraham's, Abraham's, 3 close friends and allies in the Battle of the Kings? A. Aner, Eshcol, and Mamre. B. Haran, Nachor, Nahor, and Lavan, Laban. C. Aner, Eshcol, and Eliezer. D. Lot, Yishmael, Ishmael, and Eliezer. The correct answer is A. Aner, Eshcol, and Mamre. 42. What did Avraham, Abraham, ask Sarah to do when they got to Mitzrayim, Egypt? A. To pretend that she was his sister. B. To go to Pharaoh's palace on a holiday. C. To come with him to visit Pharaoh. D. To buy food. The correct answer is A. To pretend that she was his sister. 43. What was it about Sarah that attracted the attention of the Mitzrayim, Egyptians? A. She was very modest. B. She was very beautiful. C. She was married to Avraham, Abraham. D. She was very righteous. The correct answer is B. She was very beautiful. 44. What did Avraham, Abraham, do when the king of Sodom offered compensation for beating the 4 kings? A. He refused to take anything. B. He agreed to take half of what was offered. C. He took 10% of what he was offered. D. He took all that was offered to him. The correct answer is A. He refused to take anything. 45. What was the symbolism of the stars in God's blessing to Avraham, Abraham? A. That Avraham's offspring would one day be as numerous as the stars. B. That no clouds would rain on Avraham's journey. C. That the clear starlit sky indicated no rain would dampen Avraham's future. D. That Avraham's children would travel to the stars. The correct answer is A. That Avraham's offspring would one day be as numerous as the stars. 46. Who was Avraham's, Abraham's, servant? A. Malkit. B. Lot. C. Eliezer. D. Ishmael. The correct answer is C. Eliezer. 47. What happened to the kings of Sodom and Amora, Jamara? A. They were taken prisoner. B. They were shot by arrows. C. They fell into a well while running away from Kedorlaomer. D. They were killed in battle. The correct answer is C. They fell into a well while running away from Kedorlaomer. 48. What did Avraham, Abraham, do in Shechem, Nablus, the first time he was there? A. He drew water for his sheep. B. He built a Mizbeach, altar. C. He went to sleep. D. He pitched his tent. The correct answer is B. He built a Mizbeach, altar. 49. Whom did Avraham, Abraham, take with him when he migrated to Canaan? A. He went alone. B. His wife Sarai and his children. C. His wife Sarai, Lot and the souls that they made in Charan, Haran. D. His wife Sarai, his brother Haran and his father Terah. The correct answer is C. His wife Sarai, Lot and the souls that they made in Charan, Haran. 50. After Avraham, Abraham, complained that his servant would inherit him, what did God show him outside the tent? A. The animals in the jungles. B. A picture of Yitzhak, Isaac. C. The sand on the beach. D. The stars in the sky. The correct answer is D. The stars in the sky. 51. Why couldn't Avraham, Abraham, and Lot live near each other after Avraham returned from Mitzrayim, Egypt? A. Because their shepherds were arguing with each other. B. Because Lot wanted to move to Sodom because there was an abundance of fertile land for his sheep. C. Because Sarah told Avraham, Abraham, to send him away. D. Because Lot wanted to go back to Charan, Haran. The correct answer is A. Because their shepherds were arguing with each other. 52. How old was Avraham, Abraham, when he first went to Canaan? A. 75. B. 100. C. 40. D. 175. The correct answer is A. 75. 53. How old was Ishmael, when he was circumcised? A. 40. B. 8 days. C. 13. D. 99. The correct answer is C. 13. 54. What was Abraham's, complaint to God when God promised him great reward for his faith in God? A. My brother is threatening to kill me. B. The Plishtim, Philistines, took all of my wells. C. How can you reward me, when I am childless? D. My wife had been kidnapped in Mitzrayim, Egypt. The correct answer is C. How can you reward me, when I am childless? 55. What happened to Lot in the War of the Kings? A. He was helped by angels. B. His wife turned into a pillar of salt. C. He helped them win the battle. D. He was captured by the 4 kings. The correct answer is D. He was captured by the 4 kings. 56. Why did God change the name of Abram, to Avraham, Abraham? A. in order to disguise Abram's real name in order to protect his soul. B. Because it was a sign of a covenant with God that Avraham would be the father of many people and nations. C. Because the name Abraham meant peace in the Ugaritic language of Kasdim. D. In the Canaanite language, the name Abram was insulting and offensive. The correct answer is B. Because it was a sign of a covenant with God that Avraham would be the father of many people and nations. 57. How did Abraham, win the battle against the four kings? A. The enemy was afraid of the pillars of fire and clouds that accompanied them. B. He attacked at night and routed them. C. God sent angels to assist the forces of Abraham. D. The enemy soldiers were drunk from celebrating their victory and did not put up much of a fight. The correct answer is B. He attacked at night and routed them. 58. If Sarah was 90 years old when she gave birth to Yitzhak, Isaac, how old was Abraham? A. 90. B. 75. C. 100. D. 127. The correct answer is C. 100. 59. Who did Abraham, circumcise on the day that God commanded him to do so? A. Himself, Yishamal, Ishmael, and all the members of his house. B. Himself and Yitzhak, Isaac. C. Himself and Eliezer. D. Himself and Yishmael. The correct answer is A. Himself, Yishamal, Ishmael, and all the members of his house. 60. What was the name of Abraham's oldest child? A. Yitzhak, Isaac. B. Yishmael, Ishmael. C. Mamre. D. Lot. The correct answer is B. Yishmael, Ishmael. 61. Why did Abraham, leave Canaan and go down to Mitzrayim, Egypt? A. To make a peace treaty. B. There was a famine in Canaan. C. To find a wife for Yitzhak, Isaac. D. To make money. The correct answer is B. There was a famine in Canaan.